How you guys doing? Jason A. Kuhn here, giving you a Fight the Deception with Real Perception Christian news brief for October 24th, 2013. We'll jump in here at RT.com. Breaking news, at least 2 shot at Millington Naval Base. At least 2 people were shot at Millington, Tennessee, near a United States naval base on Thursday. The U.S. Navy confirms that 2 people were injured when a shooter opened fire near the base Thursday afternoon. Millington's WMC-TV reports that a suspected shooter is in custody, but the base remains locked down as of midday Thursday. Preliminary reports indicated that the event took place within the facility, but the Navy has now acknowledged that the shooting occurred off-site on the naval property. Jason Miles, a reporter for WMC-TV, says the incident occurred in a non-secured area near the Naval Support Activity Mid-South Base, close to Tennessee's border with Arkansas and Mississippi. Both victims are in non-critical condition, the network reports. The identity of the shooter has not yet been identified, but West Memphis WREG-TV reports that unnamed sources told them the shooter had just been fired, left, and returned with a gun. We'll move on here at Infowars.com, article written by Paul Joseph Watson. Fort Hood soldiers told that Christians, Tea Partiers, a radical terror threat. During a pre-deployment briefing, Fort Hood soldiers were told that Christians, Tea Party supporters, and anti-abortion activists were a radical terror threat, enemies of America, and that anyone found to be supporting these groups would be subject to discipline under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That's the explosive claim from a soldier who attended the half-hour briefing which took place on October 17th and was devoted to how so-called radical groups were tearing the country apart, the soldier told Fox News, adding that the threat of Islamic terrorism was barely even mentioned, despite the fact that another soldier confirmed that the threats of punishments were made during the meeting. An official Fort Hood representative denied the allegations. Wow. Let's move on. Reuters.com, much of Syria blacked out by a rebel attack on gas pipeline. A terrorist attack on a gas pipeline that needs a power station in the south has led to a power outage in the provinces, and work to repair it is in progress. Electricity Minister Imad Khamas told state news agency SANA, S-A-N-A. A resident in the center of Damascus who asked to remain anonymous said the whole city just went dark, and she could see the glow of fire near the international airport and hear heavy machine gun fire. Wow, excuse me. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a UK-based group that reports on abuses and battlefield development, uses sources on both sides of Syria's civil war, said the explosion was caused by rebel artillery that hit a gas pipeline near the airport. Let's move on to Hearts.com. Why Israel's rights fears the non-Jewish refugees. Israelis' right-wing politicians have turned African refugees into a political football of racism rather than thinking what should be a proper Jewish response to their plight. In other words, what would Jesus do? WWJD. Everybody's heard of that. Let's get into this article a little bit. Last month, in a 9-0 ruling filled with moral outrage, Israel's Supreme Court nullified an amendment to the Infiltrators Law that had allowed the government to imprison refugees for up to 3 years upon their illegal entrance to Israel. The ruling came in response to an appeal by the Hotline for Migrant Workers, the Association for Civil Rights in Israel, ASAF, and other advocacy organizations, primarily on behalf of the 54,200 refugees from Eritrea and Sudan currently in Israel. To date, only 2 out of approximately 2,000 refugees currently imprisoned have been released. One, a rape victim from Sudan, whose incarceration only ended in response to another hotline appeal to the High Court. Instead of following the court's directive to free the others, Interior Minister Gadam Sahar is floating a less draconian version of the same legislation, trying to sell a shorter imprisonment as morally defensible, ignoring the court's argument that you can't lock up innocent people to deter other potential refugees from trying to reach Israel. Let's move on here at MiddleEastMonitor.com. Israeli occupation arrests 33 Palestinian minors in 2 weeks. An official Palestinian report has revealed that the Israeli occupation forces arrested 33 Palestinian minors during the first half of this month. The report issued by the Ministry of Information in Ramallah noted that the occupation forces had stepped up their attacks against Palestinian minors in the first half of October. The report explained that a dozen of boys have been wounded by the forces and settlers. The number of children under the age of 18 held in Israeli jails have reached 250, and the number of children detained since 2000 to September 2013 totaled 9,500 minors. A rise in the number of cases of children being detained since the beginning of the year has been observed, recording 476 minors have been detained. Let's move on here. At CNN.com, a deputy kills 13-year-old carrying a fake rifle. A sheriff's deputy mistakenly thought he saw a teen carrying an assault rifle on a California street this week and shot him dead, authorities said. It turned out the 13-year-old boy was carrying two fake guns, a replica AK-47 and a fake pistol, the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office said. The Tuesday shooting is being investigated, the Sheriff's Office said. Schools officials in Northern California, city of Santa Rosa, identified the teen as Andy Lopez Cruz. The Santa Rosa City School District family is deeply saddened by the loss of Andy Lopez Cruz, a school system statement said. This is a tragic event for the family, schools, and the community. His administrators and teachers will remember him as a kind and intelligent and capable. Wow. Let's move on. RawSewerStory.com. 3 kids hurt when student fires AR-15 during anti-drug event at California elementary school. 3 children were hurt on Wednesday after a student pulled the trigger of a police officer's AR-15 rifle during an anti-drug demonstration at a California elementary school. Wow, so why did this police officer need to bring his AR-15 to the school? An 11-year-old told KCAL-TV that police officers were playing Foursquare with students about 11:40 a.m. Wednesday and handing out stickers when one student wandered over to a police motorcycle that had a gun latched to it. Wow, a police motorcycle with an AR-15 latched to it. The event was part of Red Ribbon Week, which is intended to promote awareness about illegal drug use. The Newman Elementary School student apparently pulled the trigger, which caused it to discharge into the ground, and the startled student ran into a nearby field, witnesses said. 2 students were hospitalized for minor lacerations likely caused by metal debris, and another student was treated at the school for some scrapes and cuts, firefighters stated. Let's move on to the last article of the day, Infowars.com, an article written by Paul Joseph Watson. Feds order school to ban packed lunches without a doctor's note. A school in Richmond, Virginia is following federal government instructions by telling parents that they need to have a doctor's note in order for their children to be allowed to bring packed lunches to school, another example of how the nanny state is encroaching via the public education system. A letter featured on the website mom.com instructs parents that packed lunches must be accompanied with a physician's note. Wow, the letter also includes a handwritten note from a teacher which reads, Miss Brooks, please do not send a lunch to school unless a doctor's note is sent in connection with this letter. The identity of the school remains unknown, but it is situated in Richmond, Virginia. Well, there you go. No organic food, no healthy food for your kid. Please eat RGMO. That's the last article I got for you today. Let me give you the New World Order quote of the day given by David Rockefeller himself. We are on the verge of a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the New World Order. Again, that is David Rockefeller. I don't want to leave you without the proverb of the day, Proverbs 18:21, King James only. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. That's all the articles I got and news I got for you guys today. If you want to check me out on Facebook, it's Jason A. Kuhn. Also, my YouTube channel, Jason A. Kuhn. You can also check out my ministry page on Facebook, Romans 12:2, Transformer Ministries. Highly suggest a few other websites real quick, Infowars.com, DrudgeReport.com, Newsblock2.com. Also, check out a buddy of mine on Facebook, his own website, ScottKeisler.com. That's it for you today. I'll leave you off with the song I brought you in on by Fireflight 9/11.